By the way, welcome. We got another over 2,000 live. Everybody hit like and share. Glad to have all you with me as we comb through the latest tranche of Jeff Stein McEffrey and his insane next level emails, proving everything that we in the conspiracy world pretty much have said all along. And who had the most accurate analysis? I would say I'm pretty much was spot on about all of it. All right. Let's see. We covered this yesterday. We're looking for all the new material. So let's go up here. Yeah, we did that one. I want to remind you guys too that I have a extensive interview with the first journalist to break the Epstein story, the first investigative journalist to break it years ago, Nick Bryant. And you can watch this interview here. It is a very enlightening, elucidating, in-depth interview. But the first thing I want to talk about today is Mormon blood. This one was next level insane. I think a lot of people suspected there's probably going to be Mormon connections here with Jeff Stein McEffrey because Mormonism is a weird sex cult. So let's take a look at this. This is it says, I am Esther Cohen teaser Epstein. I guess this is someone writing a letter or an email or something to Jeff Stein McEffrey. It's very bizarre. Someone named Esther. I wanted more from Jeffrey, and when he was often distant and dismissive of me and my feminine claims. One night, as the sun set over Little St. James, I stood in the room where I just had a therapeutic massage. Now, again, this could be just some random thing that somebody wrote. We don't know, but it is very odd. And it does go well. It does seem to synthesize with a lot of the other things that Epstein talked about, namely the transhumanist stuff, the DNA stuff, procuring the babies, etc. All of that we can see is pretty clearly in the emails. This one is a little more mysterious, but I would say it's in the possible category. I stood in the room. I had the massage. The room was covered in Genius's seed, which was going to waste. So I don't know if that's something about semen. I had an inspiration to ask the chef, make an extra large turkey baster in a beautiful fertility ritual that created my youngest daughter. Jeffrey was furious, but I pointed out by staggering daughters every 8 years, he would always have a supply of ripe girls. He bought me a house, got my oldest daughter into, and by the way, if this wasn't, I mean, it's interesting that they blacked out this information if it was fake, right? Donated $50,000 to gender studies. That seems like that does harmonize with other things that Jeff Stein McEffrey was into and did. All she had to do was send him a pint of Mormon blood every week. Now, we know that in the other emails, he is very interested in studying and getting blood studied. So that is true. Again, this one we don't know for sure, but he is in the other emails obtaining blood and studying and getting his own blood studied. Thank you, Jeff. You helped so many people. You gave me the Italian marble tile in my kitchen, a steam shower, and a ranch of my own to continue the great work. Of course, the great work is a reference to Western Hermeticism and alchemy. It's the idea of perfecting what's imperfect in creation. And so the Hermeticists, the Rosicrucians, the alchemists, they thought that through technology and through alchemy and chemistry, they could perfect nature and achieve apotheosis, or you name it. It depends on which occultist you're reading. So that's an interesting one. Thank you, by the way, Ghislaine. If you haven't said anything to the feds, it won't last as long as those USPS money orders keep arriving from the Metropolitan Detention Center. Stop by blank for your first free session of dynamic sexuality. Bring a friend or even a dozen. We will make it worth your time. I'm Esther Cohen, teaser Epstein. I approve of this message. So a bizarre one. Unclear exactly what it is, but it does in certain ways vibe with the others. Guys, if you want to support the stream, please send super chats through Streamlabs. You can also super chat natively through YouTube if you would like. Now, here's a sassy one breaking. Epstein lived in the Vatican with John Paul II, assistant says. So let's see if this is Peggy, because this one could be a huge one here. Now, are we supposed to follow these keys, Nick? Is this the key holder that we got to listen to? Didn't he say Epstein was based? I couldn't tell if he was joking or not. Maybe he was joking when he said that, but maybe this is why he's based, because actually he's hanging out at the Vatican. If so, well, then I guess we gotta follow Peter. If Peter takes that key and opens it up for Jeffstein McGeffrey, well, Rome has spoken, case is closed, right? Let me get rid of me here, and then I can try to zoom in, and I can't see this. Let's see. I'm going to read it to you, though. Let's see. Okay. It says, okay, I'm going to have to download this and then zoom in on it. You guys can go get this one on your own if you need to, because I don't know why they made this so small. This is terrible. Okay, here we go. Okay, so the first one is an email from Epstein to Richard Kahn. I don't know who that is. But Epstein says, be so kind and arrange my flight this coming Saturday and the coming back Wednesday with Bart. If you have any questions or comments, let me know. Okay, now this is not Epstein. This is Brandon. And then this reply to Brandon from Richard Kahn. It says, Dear Richard, I was washing the brushes, cleaning all the washes, getting ready to go home. Epstein walked in and I showed him the sample. There was no AC, blah, blah, blah. They're talking about some kind of wood resin that he showed to Epstein. To my surprise, he actually liked it. I lime washed the columns. So another weird element in a lot of these is a lot of things to do with remodeling. So Epstein seems to talk to quite a few people about like kitchen tiles and like remodeling and architectural design. So I guess he was into some of that, but blah, blah, blah. I washed the columns, I lime washed them. The covering of the surface with lime wash is the first initial setup. We had a conversation and we further cleared the future misunderstandings. He wanted me to finish each column differently, as when he was living with John Paul II in the Vatican. He looked at a variety of columns that were captured during the war. He told me that the Pope demanded to have a column from every country so that there is a collection of different columns at the Vatican. Wow. Oh, man. Now, is this the key that we're supposed to unfailingly follow, Nick? Is that the keys? Now, remember, this is not far-fetched given the fact that John Paul is seen here greeting and perhaps blessing. It's hard to, he might be doing a blessing on them. But keep in mind, oh, well, they're just walking up getting a blessing. No. This is high-profile people that this email just said lived at the Vatican with John Paul II. You don't live at the Vatican in the papal apartments or whatever without having security clearance. You know, the Vatican has its own secret service. So you don't get to live there and be this close unless you've been cleared. You wouldn't be cleared unless they knew everything about what you were up to. But why would that be surprising when the same thing was done with Savile? he was given a papal knighthood by the papacy. And it was such a scandal that the papacy decided maybe we should take that back. This is the Peter these people are saying you have to follow. Screw you. And screw your disgusting papacy. No, it is the papacy that will lead you to hell. Like giving awards to disgusting procurer necro phila people like this guy. And this guy. So this is who Fuentes says you have to follow. I say it's bad, but all the thousands of the bots go after me for saying that this is bad. Amazing. Here is another one about the papacy. This is the individual who was connected to the anti-Russian operations that Epstein was involved in that we saw yesterday. And this is from Boris Nikolic, the guy that's the anti-Putin guy. And he sends an email to Epstein. He says, "Hey, how are you? I hope that you put the Pope to shame with your gymnasts." The gymnasts. Could this be a reference to the... I was wondering when we were going to get to the Hollywood people. That's coming up next. Could this be a reference to the gay acrobats? Do you remember this? You got to be careful what you search. If you search, yeah, here it is, right here. Remember this? Now, this was back when, and by the way, this is an actual gay acrobat troupe performing in the Paul VI Hall for Benedict and all the cardinals. Absolutely, totally gay. And you can go look up and confirm that this is I think I put something underneath it. They're like, they're from Peru or Brazil or something. If you look into this troupe. So here is, now I don't know if this is what the Epstein email is referring to. I'm just thinking of the amazing gymnasts that Epstein helped apparently get going in the Vatican. Well, the only gymnasts I can think of in the last several years are these. And old Benedict over here looks like he's sweating. He looks severely tempted in the middle of this. He's like, oh, yeah. But this is what Boris's email to Jeff Stein McGaffrey is apparently referring to. I hope you put the Pope to shame with your gymnasts. Now, speaking of the keys, is there any relationship between BB and the Rothschilds and JP2? Their sainted Pope? Well, let's see this. And here, by the way, is this. If you want to go verify all of this for yourself. It amazes me that this is so out there in the open, and the Roman Catholics will gaslight everybody into oblivion when you bring this up. And they act like none of this even matters. It doesn't, who cares? It doesn't matter.